You know, in the world of finance and maybe in our own lives too, there's this constant feeling of urgency, right? Stock tickers are flashing, news alerts are buzzing, and there's this deep down pressure that tells you to act now. The whole world seems to believe that if you just stand still, you're going to get left behind. Everyone is rushing, and yet, right in the middle of all that chaos, one of the wealthiest people in history built an entire empire by doing the exact opposite. While the rest of the world was frantically chasing the next big thing, one man just waited. He never did. So let's really get into this. It feels like a paradox, doesn't it? How did one of the greatest investors ever make his fortune by rejecting the one thing the market seems to worship: speed? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore here, the incredible philosophy of patience behind Warren Buffett. To really understand his strategy, we can't just start with his stock picks. Nope, we have to go back, way back to the beginning, to see how he built up the discipline for a whole lifetime of waiting. You see, from a very young age, a pattern started to show. Born in 1930, his first little businesses, selling newspapers, gum, and Coke, they weren't about getting rich quick. They were his first real lessons in how money actually works. By his teens, while other kids were outside playing games, he was inside just poring over financial reports. And this path, this deep curiosity, it led him right to the feet of the father of value investing, Benjamin Graham. And this is absolutely crucial. His goal was never the thrill of the trade or the rush you get from a stock that's soaring. It was the quiet, deep satisfaction of truly understanding a business, inside and out. He made a very conscious choice to chase understanding, not excitement. And this core lesson, which he learned from his mentor, Benjamin Graham, it became the bedrock of his entire life's philosophy. It's such a simple but powerful idea. The market doesn't reward you for being busy. Over the long haul, it rewards the people who have the discipline to just wait. And that one single idea, well, it would shape everything he did from then on. Okay, so with that foundation of patience locked in, how did he actually use it in the real world? Let's get into how this idea of stillness became his most powerful and his most profitable move. Just think about that for a second. With all the money, all the information, and all the opportunity in the world at his fingertips, what do you think was his single most powerful action throughout his entire career? It sounds almost too simple to be real, doesn't it? But it's the absolute truth. His most strategic, most profitable, and most powerful action, more often than not, was to do absolutely nothing. To just be still and wait. Now, doing nothing is actually an incredibly active and difficult thing to do. It's really the art of saying no. First, he just ignored the hype. When everybody was stampeding into the dot-com bubble, he just stood back and said, I don't understand these businesses. Second, he would wait, sometimes for years, for that one perfect opportunity to show up. And third, he said no over and over and over again, protecting his money and his focus for that single perfectly timed yes. And this is so important to get. Buffett's patience isn't just sitting around, and it's not a fear of making a move. It is the ultimate sign of confidence. It's an active discipline that comes from doing all the homework, getting total clarity, and knowing exactly what you're waiting for. So, a strategy of stillness and saying no, it sounds good in theory, but what about the results? What actually happened? Let's look at the incredible harvest that came from this slow and steady pace. This quote right here, it really gets to the heart of his success. He understood that you could be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't give your investments the time they need to grow, all that talent is basically wasted. The real magic isn't just in picking the right thing, it's in the waiting. And Berkshire Hathaway is the ultimate proof of this. He started with what other people saw as boring businesses, like a failing old textile mill. But he saw something else. He saw value. So he bought it, and then he just waited. He let the unbelievable power of compounding do all the heavy lifting, turning these simple, steady businesses into an engine of unbelievable wealth over decades. But let's be really clear here, this slow and steady approach was not always popular. During crazy market times like the tech boom in the late 90s, the so-called experts called him outdated, a dinosaur. They all said he just didn't get it. The pressure to join the party must have been immense. And what was his response to all that? He never argued. He didn't panic. He just let time defend his decisions. The long-term results of his patient strategy, well, they became the ultimate, undeniable answer to every single one of his critics. And here's the most important part. This wasn't just a strategy for investing. It was a complete philosophy for how to live your life. More than a plan for getting rich, it was a strategy for finding peace. And you can see it in every little part of his personal life. He still lives in the same house he bought back in 1958. He famously eats breakfast from McDonald's. He drives a simple car. He never got caught in that trap of constantly upgrading his lifestyle because he knew that rushing to get more stuff is the surest way to destroy your own peace. The lesson in that is just so powerful. For him, the whole point of having wealth was never about buying more things to show off. The point of wealth was freedom. The freedom to think, the freedom to wait, and the freedom to live life completely on his own terms. When you boil it all down, you see these two competing ways of thinking. Rushing, that comes from fear, the fear of missing out. But patience, that's born from clarity. Rushing destroys your inner peace, while patience builds your confidence. Rushing chases a fleeting feeling of excitement, but patience chases lasting understanding. He just chose the right side of this chart every single time. As we start to wrap this up, this one thought really says it all. The ultimate reward for all his patience wasn't just the money. It was that by refusing to get swept up in the madness of the crowd, he kept his principles, his integrity, and his peace of mind. He never lost himself. So after looking at his entire life, his whole philosophy, what's the one vital idea we should all take away from this? It's this: our modern world is constantly screaming at us that faster is better. It rewards speed with attention and with short-term wins. But the things that truly matter, knowledge, wisdom, relationships, genuine wealth, they don't respond to speed. The world might reward speed, but life rewards patience.